So I will call this meeting of the Richland County Board to order. I ask that we begin with clerk taking the roll, please.
Harrow.
Here.
Miller. Here. Kramer.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Engel.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
Actually, I missed Mr. Manning. He's not here. And Mr. Gill.
Here.
Glassburner.
Here.
Harwick.
Here.
Woodhouse.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove. Frank.
Here.
Severson. Williamson.
Here.
Cooey.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Brookins. McGuire.
Yep.
You have 15 for a quorum, sir.
All right. For our invocation this evening, Reverend Michelle Alfers from St. John's is here with us. Stand, please.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you are the creator and ruler of all creation. From you come all good authority and leadership. I ask that you bless all the leaders in Richland County and especially tonight our county board. Give them wisdom in their decision making and lead them to turn to you for guidance, for problem solving. Lead them through all struggles and uncertainty. Help them to be a blessing for our community. God, you are a refuge and strength. You have bound us together in common life. Whenever we do face conflicts, help us to confront one another without hatred or bitterness. Help us to listen for your voice in competing claims and to work together with respect. Lord Jesus, we remember that you came into the world as one of us and even suffered as we do. Whenever we face uncertainty, help us to realize that you are with us at all times and in all things, that we have no secrets from you, and that your loving grace is always near us. We pray this and all that you see that we need, in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Would the clerk lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
We are, sir.
Very good, thank you. Before us, we have a 27-point agenda. I will note that item number 13 has been removed from the agenda. So with that change, looking for a motion to approve our agenda for tonight. Mr. Gill makes a motion, second by Mr. Cooey. We'll get you something else, Cindy. All those in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I'm sorry, I missed the second.
the second was Mr. Cooey. Right, and we have minutes from our February 18th meeting. Anybody have comments, questions, or clarifications on that set of minutes as they've been presented? All right, hearing none, the chair will declare those minutes to be approved. Item 8 on our agenda is public comment. We have members of the public that wish to comment to the county board tonight. Yes, please state your name, where you're from, and then you have 3 minutes. Go for it.
Sure. My name is Shirley Welty. I live at 20927 Oxford School Road in Dayton Township. And I want to thank each member of the county board for your service to the county, the residents, and the taxpayers. I've been following the board and the committees for several months online, and I thought I'd start to appear in person and follow along what you're doing here. But thank you very much for all your efforts. It's very much appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else that wish to make public comment tonight? What else?
If I may.
Okay.
I just wanted to report back to this body with a little message from Neighborhood Housing Services of Southwest Wisconsin. I have the delegate from this body that serves on there, and we wanted to share with you that we have hired a new executive director at NHS. Frederick Heater started with us February 24th. He has a lot of housing experience in other states and new construction, new development experience. We're super happy to have him at NHS. And just ask you to stay tuned because there's a lot of good things coming and some exciting projects from NHS. Most notably, the one that I can share is that we will have a new home construction with it by NHS in this spring. We were putting a shovel in the ground. It's been 8 years since NHS has built a new home, and we will be doing that this spring. So stay tuned.
Nice. Thank you. Anybody else wish to make public comment, either here in person or online tonight? All right, hearing none. Item 9 on our agenda is a closed session. As we will be going into closed session pursuant to the statute cited there on the agenda. And this will be for the purpose of reviewing the county administrator recommendation from the Executive and Finance Standing Committee. So I'm looking for a motion to enter into closed session. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Williamson. And this will be for county board members plus our acting and administrator, deputy administrator, clerk counsel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to going into closed session? So it is a unanimous vote to go into closed session. We'll let the other folks speak their way out here and then we will start our closed session. Okay. Convened in open session. The voice from above said we're good to go.
That's silent.
Right, so we have returned to open session. Item 11 on our agenda, action on item from closed session. I would be looking for a motion from the board to confirm the appointment of Tricia Clemens as our new county administrator effective April 21st.
I'll make that one.
I saw Mr. Gill's hand first.
Okay.
Supervisor Kramer seconds. As per the terms of the contract, April 21st will be the start date. And we will look forward to welcoming our new candidate in. Obviously, you don't have to be a personnel genius to notice that will create a vacancy across the street. So our existing HHS director will be moving into a new role. We have our motion, we have our second. All in favor from the county board, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Appointment is confirmed. Thank you all very much. I do want to publicly congratulate Tricia, to thank the other applicants that we brought in that went through the interview process. It was a pretty rigorous process. Thank the committee members who took part and a couple of other county board supervisors who also sat in on the meet and greet and the interviews that we did. It was a lot of stuff to do, but thank you to everyone and thank you to Tricia for agreeing to accept the position. So we will move forward. Item 12, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. The Committee on Committees did meet prior to our meeting tonight, and we have a list of appointments to bring forward.
So I can read them, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 appointments that we will address tonight. The other vacancies and committees will be addressed when the new county board supervisor is placed in their position in April. So we'll have another meeting on April 9th, I believe, is the meeting we set for the next committee on committees. But nonetheless, the appointments for tonight that I am requesting your approval for would be one appointment for the Aging Unit Advisory Committee. So currently, right now, Supervisor Engel is serving the committee in one cause. There was a vacancy caused by Supervisor Brewer. So my suggestion, my recommendation would be to move Supervisor Engel to that spot currently that was previously held by Marty Brewer. So that's one appointment. I'll do all of these and then you can make a motion to approve them all if you choose. So, okay, so that would be the first one for that one. The next one would be for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. As I noted in Committee on Committees meeting, Trish and I have had a few conversations about the proper composition of this committee. And what this committee is missing is the county board supervisor presence. So I would like to appoint Supervisor Engel to that committee. He was present for the meeting today and did accept that appointment. I believe you still accept that, correct? Haven't changed your mind? Okay, great. All right. Moving on to the next appointment would be for the Southwest Wisconsin Library Board System. This is a citizen appointment. I did receive word from Joan Kepler that she was interested in serving in that, the Richland County citizen position for that. So I did confirm that with Joan yesterday, and she's still interested in serving in that committee. So my recommendation for that appointment would be Joan Kepler. Next one is the Tri-County Airport. So this was also held by Marty Brewer, but would like to appoint Julie Fleming to that committee. Julie, you're still okay with that? Okay, great. And then the last appointment for committees that I have tonight is for the Lower Wisconsin State Riverway Board. We as a county have to give two appointees to that organization, and then they appoint them further on from there. But for those two individuals, I would offer the recommendation for Supervisor Williamson, which Supervisor Williamson, you're still good with that appointment, correct? And then the other one is Dan Hilberry. So I did speak with Mark Cupp, who's the executive director for this committee. These appointments have to be confirmed to the appropriate body by May 1st. Dan Hilberry did agree to that appointment as well. So it would be Supervisor Williamson and Dan Hilberry that I would forward to the applicable party for that Lower Wisconsin State Riverway Board committee. So those are the 5 that I have for tonight for this part. Anyway.
Very good. Looking for a motion to confirm these 5 appointments. Motion by Kramer, second by Cooey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Confirm the appointments. Thank you. Yep. Continuing on, we do have another appointment to confirm tonight, and that would be for a Pine Valley Community Village Administrator. Derek,
Sure.
proceed with that one.
So this one is separated out from 12 because this is not an appointment to a board, committee, or commission. It'd be an appointment to a position here at the county. So that would be for the Pine Valley Community Village Administrator. Angie Wall was previously serving in the interim capacity. She stepped down from that. And as a result, my recommendation would be to appoint Brittany Paulus. Brittany Paulus was kind enough to also do some consulting services for us as well. And I know has been a resource to Angie on a few different occasions while Angie was serving as interim. So my recommendation for the Pine Valley Community Village Administrator would be to appoint Brittany Paulus. Brittany is back there in the gray if you haven't met her. So that would be my my recommendation for that appointment if you so choose.
Motion by Kramer, second by Hendricks. And discussion. Welcome. Yeah, you.
Thank you, Brittany.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Stop. All right, again, item 13, we are skipping on the agenda. As far as appointments and stuff, at our next county board meeting would be when we appoint the supervisor to fill Marty Brewer's vacant seat. What's the deadline for those interested to get you information, Derek?
Right, it is on March 28th at 4 p.m. I was going to remind you all during my little report, but yes, March 28th.
Okay, so that will be coming, and folks have until March 28th to express interest. And then after that, we will have more actions to take to fill some committee seats and do some cleanup on our committee list. All right, so that brings us to item 14, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Steve Butler in the town of Henrietta.
This would be ordinance number 25-4, amendment number 617 to the Richland County Code of Ordinance, chapter 119. Zoning relating to a parcel belonging to Steve W. and Mickey L. I'm sorry, you said Butler?
Butler,
In
Butler,
the town of
positive.
Butler, in the town of Henrietta. Sir, I presume you do not wish me to read the entire ordinance. This ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication. This ordinance was offered by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on 3 March of 2025.
Okay, that is our ordinance. I'm looking for a motion. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Williamson. I'm guessing because we're going from legal non-conforming to agriculture, this is a cleanup one. I get the thumbs up. That's great. Anything else you need to share with us about that?
No.
So this is another cleanup rezoning. Just further discussion from the board. As all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session. We have none. Okay. Any rezoning petitions recommended for denial?
Nope.
None of those either. Very good. That brings us down to reports, which is item 17, and a report from our county administrator.
Okay, so have some fun facts for you guys tonight. So reminder, vacancy notice for District 3, that's what Dave just mentioned with Marty Brewers. So that, just to remind everyone, was advertised in the Observer on February 13th and February 20th, in the Shopping News on February 18th and February 25th. The letters of interest are to me on March 28th at 4 p.m. The appointment date would be effective April 15th of 2025, so our next county board meeting. And as of tonight, I have received one letter of interest. The same individual sent me the same letter of interest twice, but nonetheless, one letter of interest from one individual. So we have one thus far. And that'll be very, very, yeah, it was at like 6:30 in the morning too. So I will share that with you when we get the packet ready together for April. Reminder for the Lou Everett group training that was rescheduled from January 23rd through March 27th. So again, Miranda will send an email to confirm your guys' attendance in that event here very soon, since it's next week already. It'll be in person here in the county boardroom. For department heads and county board supervisors is only offered in person. Again, the same hours, 10 a.m. to noon. And then from noon to 1, Josh and Tammy Newberry will make sure you guys have pizza and some other snacks to eat. And then 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is the second part of that. So I won't go over the agenda because I've already kind of shared it at some point. But anyway, you'll get more information on that, but just have that date ready for next week. And also another reminder, the online portal to submit per diems is active. So I know some of you have utilized that. I think it's fairly helpful. Hopefully it's helpful. But if you're having issues with that, let myself or MIS know, and we can help you with that. I do know the form does not have the other meeting title on there, so we're gonna have to add that back in there because I know some of you guys do attend other meetings that you're entitled to per diems for. So I will work with MIS to make sure we add that one in there. Really just kind of said that, John, to remind us to do it. And then also a reminder I had on here was for iPad service. So I know there's, some struggles ongoing with iPads and that sort of thing. I will ask you to seek the assistance from MIS. I'm not a tech person, so I really can't do much to help you. But John, is there anything you'd like to say about that while I'm talking about it?
So since we switched to new software, we did discover a few issues that we were having. Few individuals have came in and seen us, and we have fixed them. If you're having issues, please let us know because we can't fix them. We don't know if it broke. And longer it goes, it's for you guys. So yeah, just let us know as soon as you can.
I have a question. Were you still working on getting laptops or discussing that?
Yes, we're still in the process of getting.
Okay,
It's going to be some time out. We figure out software to get the document.
Okay.
Gonna be some cost to that, so.
okay.
So we don't have 365 on these, it's not capable, we can't get it on iPads yet,
Products you have on there. It's from 365.
but when I want to download Word, can I just use my own Apple ID then, or?
I can show over that.
Okay, moving on, staffing updates. So in the event you didn't know, you just appointed a county administrator tonight, so welcome Trish, wherever you are. And then you also just appointed the Pine Valley Community Village Administrator, Brittany Paulus, so again, you should be aware of that. The finance director, we opened that search again. The candidate that was chosen from the last search actually backed out after the offer was made. Let us know on either a Thursday or Friday that he would not be here on Monday. So we re-advertised for 2 weeks for that. That search closes March 21st. So this will be Friday at 4 p.m. So that was unfortunate because we did a lot of work for that and was looking forward to kind of get some other stuff going, given budget season's right around the corner, but we shall keep going as we always do, and we will carry on with that one. Zoning administrator interviews were actually held yesterday. There was a position offered to a candidate who accepted, so we should have that position filled. It's an internal fill, so we'll have to backfill another one, but that's okay. And then there are various postings on the county's website for HHS, Pine Valley, Sheriff, and Simon. So I think those are the big staffing updates I have for now. Going to the wage study update, we're almost there. The final appeals for job descriptions were due March 6th at 4 p.m. So the window to appeal those opened February 27th. Justin did send all department heads, all departmental job descriptions to review for final appeals. Again, once those appeals are finished up, we'll have the job descriptions double checked for spelling errors, grammar errors, that sort of thing, and then start to add the FLSA and grade to those positions. There's still a little cleanup work to do with them. I did speak with Tessa on March 14th to coordinate the upcoming wage scale and job description maintenance. You'll recall that you guys committed to, upon adoption of that wage scale, to review a third of the job descriptions every year to make sure they're still accurate, and then to have that global review of the wage scale to make sure that it's still within market rate. And then we will use that to determine the cost for everyone to move, up one step for the 2026 budget season. We're still working on that yet, but that will happen within a week or two. So as I'm a firm believer in giving credit where credit is due, I need to once again thank all the staff for their hard work throughout this process. It wasn't easy. It was incredibly frustrating at times, but we did meet our goal of having that updated market rate wage scale, updated job descriptions, which some of them were still on typewritten form from the early 60s. I'm not sure when. But we did form a plan that of maintenance to ensure that the county pay rates are aligned with the current labor market to the best of our financial ability. So yeah, the process was hard, but we did end up with a product that, did move us a little forward in terms of pay. Radio tower project, no major updates. I mean, the progress continues.
Yes, there is no major updates with that, as we had canceled this last meeting or rescheduled it because of the interviews for the new county administrator. We'll have more updates for you guys on that next week, but everything's progressing forward. All land or the lease agreements are signed and done, so it's basically just construction at this point. Still an expected start date as projected as the end of July at the latest.
So what does that mean for all the municipalities in the area? So I'm getting a lot of questions from fire districts and that border our town.
That's still to be determined on their startup plan for the radio towers.
I have a meeting scheduled next week, Richland Center Fire Station. Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Sheriff Porter, hopefully Jason is probably coming from MIS because they're hearing June 15th. So I don't know. Anyway, I've talked to Josh about it. So trying to get our county guys, our departments up to date. There's no way you can change everybody over in one day as far as changing your radios. So they've got somewhat of a plan started. So
do they even have the equipment to do what they need to do to go to the new tower? Does that matter? Because that's where I'm getting questions from Muscadet. I mean, I'm on that fire board. And I got a meeting tomorrow night and Thursday night. And they're already asking questions. So do they gotta switch over to digital? You know what I'm,
Yeah,
where I'm going with this.
Yeah, and I talked to Sheriff Porter about it. And they have one channel that's not designated yet. So the discussion on possibly leaving that channel open for analog for a while. So they're working on it, and it's good that we're, again, the people being left out of the, like we were on the whole radio tower project. I want to thank Steve. I mean, he kept after people to let us know what's going on. It's a lot of money.
Well, they're not.
No.
Nobody has the money to switch everything to. And at one point there was talk that whether it was good or bad, that we were gonna kick in money to help do that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where that's at. So it's just understanding that, you got just to where I'm at, Blue River and Muscadet that are gonna be very much in tune with this radio tower project and not being able to use it or not, whatever, I'm not versed in it.
So I would suggest that we talk to the consultant that we have, because gateways are available to take the analog into the digital side. And that changes things, so we don't have to
Yeah, they're
have
gonna-
that delay. We've also brought up at public safety, the discussion of what money is going to be there for end user equipment. That's a process that has to be really looked at as how do radios get turned in to get a different radio? What's the cost? Is there cost sharing? None of that has been discussed yet. I think it's time to bring that to the table to start that. We're close enough now to make those decisions.
And Gen Com will have hopefully one or two representatives there. So,
Good.
and Bob, if anybody wants to, learn more about it,
Yep.
next Tuesday night, 6 p.m.
We sent that out to all them municipalities.
Yeah, but Daryl has sent it out to the whole Richland County group. Eventually, then we want to update Right now, we just concentrate on Richland County and on the fire department that serve here. Then we'll go to the outlying areas because they will end up here someday.
All right, next thing on my agenda here is Tyler implementation underway. So you're all very well aware of the fact we're going through software transition. The GL and the accounts payable portion are going well. Invoices are being entered by a couple different departments, not just here at the courthouse. Checks are being printed and reports are being generated. So I need to say thank you to Tammy Newberry, Miranda Heggie, Stephanie Ronfeld, and the various fiscal staff once again for the hard work during this implementation. It's kind of a big deal. I say that facetiously because it is a ton of work. The county's treasurer's office is still working on bank reconciliation, cashiering, and receipting modules. So, you know, that one's up and running. It's doing okay. We just got a few things to work out, which is expected for a project of this size and nature. Payroll implementation is underway now. So we spend roughly 3 to 4 hours every day last week doing payroll stuff. I have my notes in here again. It says, for those of you that don't know, this is a huge project, right? Because it's again, a massive undertaking. We've been using that same Avenue Insights 400 system since the late 80s. We're going from green screen to like real live computer screens now. So it's just a lot of coordination and work. Parallel payrolls should be run the week of the 24th. Validation should be the week of April 7th. And then anticipated go live date would be April 28th. With that being said, as I give credit to the fiscal folks, I have to give credit to the payroll folks too as well. So Tammy, Michelle, and Justin were on lots of calls last week, working very hard to make sure that the configuration information was uploaded so payroll could be processed. I know Tammy Hendrickson spent a lot of evenings here at the courthouse working on that stuff. So again, I like to give credit where credit's due. So thank you all for helping with that process. I do have a side note here that this software transition does not simply end once a configuration is complete. It's going to take several months into the next year or even years to have all these pieces of this ginormous puzzle working together and to fully reap the benefits of that software. So just because we've converted doesn't mean it's like plug and play and the world happens. It doesn't happen. It's going to be continued patience. More applicable to department heads, there's going to be a delay in getting your reports because we're all using to learn the software. But as you guys request information, know that we're doing our best to work with this new software and still double checking stuff as we go. So it just doesn't end once the configuration is complete. I have learned that from the GL side. It doesn't work that way. UW campus update, we kind of already touched on this, but the reconfiguration committee did meet on February 12th. At that point, as Supervisor Turk mentioned earlier today, we go over county needs. So priorities, jail, sheriff, judiciary spaces, housing needs. We did give consideration to given, mandated versus non-mandated services. I know that word gets kind of scary, but essential, non-essential services, however you want to look at them. But nonetheless, we've already kind of reported what I had here. So we'll have our next meeting coming up here. We have met with Representative Kurtz a couple different times to talk about campus related stuff. And, progress is being made. It doesn't seem like it, but there's some things we have to do before we can really do other things. So we're kind of still in those initial stages of moving that project along. And then just some other administrator things going on. The Register of Deeds, the property lister, and the land conservation. County clerk and corp counsel are working together to ensure that we're able to comply with Act 235 that goes into effect April 1. That involves the shielding of judicial information. So I need to thank Deb, Julie, Kathy, and Mike for working together on this. I think we got a pretty good grip on what we need to do and have something in place that goes into effect April 1st. Josh and I did meet with the rep from Jessica from Wisconsin County Mutual to begin initial explorations into establishing those comprehensive finance and HR policies. So Josh and I had some really good examples to work from. So we have that process started. Again, we can't do that in a day, but nonetheless, we've made an effort to move forward with that. Chair Turk attended the community forum last week and the Rockwell tour and local industry discussion. I was going to go to that, but I stayed here to do other things. And then just some clerk stuff, because in case you didn't know, there's a spring election a few weeks away. I'll be working with the clerks to transfer WIS vote duties from the county to the municipalities. That's effective 1/1/2026. And last but not least, if you want to see my time card, I have my time card.
What are WIS vote duties?
WIS vote is the data entry, the election information, voter participation registration. That is something the county has historically done. We then switched to a contracted method to do that, but come January 1 of 2026, the municipalities, as it is their statutory duty, will be doing those data entry duties. So the rest of my year is going to be spent making sure that my 22 clerks are good to go with all that. Some of them are actually they started a few years ago, but the rest of them are going to be doing it in January. So I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Do you have anything for interim administrator?
No, I think he's pretty much covered everything in that.
All right, thank you. Any questions of our acting administrator team here?
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the work you've been doing through this interim timeline and looking forward as we'll be transitioning to a new administrator. We thank you as well. Right. Next up under reports, campus reconfiguration committee updates. You heard some of the stuff already. We did meet tonight before the county board meeting. We heard about a leak that happened out there that did get fixed. Correct. If you want to do the details.
There was a leak in the band room that was, it had some damage to the ceiling tile, but that was about the extent of the damage, but that has been repaired. And then they are currently working on a pump system that functions with the HVAC, but it's not a priority item right now because we're coming into warmer weather. Plus there are 2 other pumps out there as well. So basically we're looking at keeping the prices together and then looking at if we need to move, we can move on that. Other than that, they've just been consolidating, moving furniture and stuff around out there at the campus, so.
What we've been doing is if there's some of the contents they left behind that the county is able to utilize, we've been working to do that. We haven't gone any farther than that as far as dispersing any other stuff to other places yet. We did talk tonight at the campus reconfig committee about getting some experts in who can give us some guidance on some of the specialized pieces that are out there to know what they're worth and what value might be, what possibilities might be for those things. So we'll be moving forward on that. As Derek said, we've had Representative Kurtz go through the buildings with us and he's putting a little pressure on UW system for us. And Corp Council has reached out and we'll have a conversation tomorrow with a representative from UW system to see if we can get back into conversations with them about how they can help us deal with the enormous volume of stuff that they left behind, thinking they were doing us a favor. There is a fair amount of what would be classified as non-usable items. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to be generous.
Thank you.
Yes. And the West Bridge work will begin soon, correct?
Yes, the engineering consultant was MSA, and then Larson Bridges, they were selected for the job. They are going to be starting next month on it. Our pre-construction meeting is next week, Monday, to start that bridge. We will put up signs to make sure we direct people around it, so they can get to Simons, get to whatever they need to get to. And then also let it be known that that other bridge, as deteriorated as it is, if we have an emergency out there, fire trucks or whatever needs to get through, they can get across that bridge. It is down posted to protect that bridge, but during emergency, they can still get through. So we'll have more details after the pre-construction meeting next week of exact timeline and stages that's going to happen, but be prepared to see some work happening out there blocking the one main entrance.
And other than that, I think we have another agenda item coming up with something we'll deal with from reconfiguration too, so. Any questions on campus stuff? Yes.
Got our 2 million yet?
We are in the process of putting together what we need to send in. We are looking at cost estimates for different things we could be doing. And no matter how you add it up, that 2 million seems to go pretty fast. So it will not be hard for us to spend that. Let's put it that way.
Once you can get it.
Yeah, we are conscious of, and you've been in conversation with WEDC about timelines. So we have a connection with WEDC and we'll get that grant paperwork put together and applied for. Apparently they don't need schematics and stuff, but they want a plan of what we're going to spend it on. So we need to get our list put together of what those plans will be.
Can it be used for the bridge?
Yes.
Yes. That's gonna be a pretty good chunk of it. And, the other bridge obviously is deficit too. So what then we'll be considering, okay, do we go ahead and fix both of them so they're all done? Because that increases the value of it to a future user, And so we'll look at other things that we might be able to use those funds for.
Basically comes down to a direction being picked by the county as a whole of what you want to actually spend that money on, which means you need an actual plan for the campus. And until that, we can actually formulate a plan for everything campus reconfiguration. configuration up through the proper chains. We can't really go apply for that money because we don't know what we're gonna actually spend it on.
After we spend it, they want an accounting of what we spent it on to, correct?
Yeah, they
Correct.
need, they need to know how we're using the money.
Yep. So still in progress. Other questions? Yes, Supervisor.
I listened online, as far as items, I heard you guys say that you kind of are gonna, pass that forward or whatever, but nothing was mentioned about the props and the community players, items in there, and they didn't have a chance.
We have a couple of options for how we're gonna deal with contents out there. One of the ideas was to have an auctioneer come in and do an auction. With the volume of items that are out there, it would be a months-long process going building by building, one building each month. And taking pictures, posting stuff online, grouping stuff in lots. If that's the model we would go with, then the prop room is a lot. Somebody would bid on the entire contents. Then there's costumes and props and all kinds of stuff in that room. It's just thousands and thousands of items.
It is not properly organized. It's
Right.
literally a mountain heap of costumes and
Yes.
props on top of each other. It would take you a good, almost week to actually sort through the amount of props just in that one room.
A week with a whole crew.
Right.
So thus far, we haven't, not with anything on the campus, let individual people come in or organizations come in and look at stuff. And we don't want to go that route because we don't want to be accused of showing favoritism to one group over another. We have worked with the foundation, the campus foundation, with community players, because there was stuff there that belonged to them. And we gave them opportunities to, and from what we hear, they've gotten their stuff out. So
Correct.
They didn't have enough time. It was brought to my attention that they didn't.
I
get-
talked to a representative from that group just a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
offering that, okay, if you still have anything else left out there, let us know before we start, auctioning
All right,
stuff.
now check with my
So,
person.
yeah, and I haven't heard anything back from them saying that there were still any items left, so.
You're talking about the campus foundation?
The campus foundation was given opportunity to get their stuff out as well.
I think they've got it all out.
Yeah.
I believe they did.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the indication we'd heard. And so what is left is, as it stands right now, all of it belongs to the county and it's ours to deal with. But again, we're hoping to re-engage in conversation with the UW system since it is now state budget time and UW system is making a pretty significant budget request. There may be some leverage there. So having a local representative that's on the Joint Finance Committee is
Definitely helps.
helpful. So, all right. Item 18, a resolution approving the 2026 Farmland Preservation Planning Grant.
This would be resolution number 25-20. Now therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval to apply for the farmland preservation grant for up to $22,500, and be it further resolved that this resolution should be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution was offered by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on 3 March of 2025.
Have a resolution, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Carroll. And discussion. Kathy?
You, like in December, you approved the comprehensive plan. And so, once that's done, it gets done every 10 years. After that, then we have to update our farmland preservation plan, the countywide plan. And that includes the maps from what they did with the comprehensive plan, as far as where they want to preserve farmland or agricultural land, and where they want to direct. So the state offers us a chance to apply for a grant. And so that's what we're doing, it's up to 50%. Some of it can be matched from staff time. We're looking at like the we're hoping to be able to work with Southwest Regional Planning Commission to have them do it. And we could get reimbursed. They've quoted me like $20,000. And that we could get paid 10,000 of that from the grant to pay for it. And I've been talking with Derek and stuff. We'll have to try to put it in the 2026 budget. If we not, then I'll be the one doing the plan. And but it has to be done by approved by the state by December 31st next year.
All right, any questions from the board? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution's approved, thank you. Item 19, a resolution authorizing the Land Conservation Department to to apply for a joint allocation grant from the Wisconsin Department of Ag Trade and Consumer Protection and the Wisconsin DNR.
This would be resolution number 25-21. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Land Conservation Department to apply for and accept a 2026 joint allocation grant from the Wisconsin DATCP and Wisconsin DNR in the amount not to exceed $229,680. And be it further resolved that this grant, that the grant and the required match itemized as follows. Mr. Chair, do you wish me to read the itemized list?
Folks can read it in their iPads or see it up here on the screen. You don't need to.
Okay. Be it further resolved that the chair of the Land and Zoning Standing Committee is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents necessary to carry out this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution should be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on 3 March of 2025.
For the resolution, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Cooey, second by Supervisor Kramer. And discussion on this.
I have a typo in there. I have Land and Zoning Committee and so Standing Committee is supposed to be Natural Resources Committee.
Okay, we'll correct that typo.
This is a grant we apply for annually. It's for our staff and cost sharing. So we apply for as much as we can apply for, and then hopefully we get what we want. But, and the state is looking at raising the amount of money for staffing and making it more permanent. So we're hoping that goes through. So if you have a chance to talk to your representatives, that'll help us. But that's our annual grant. And because it's so much, that's why we come here.
Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item 20, discussion and possible action approval of short-term rental ordinance. Been in the works for a while.
This would be ordinance number 25-5.
Please read the entire thing for us.
We'll be here till next week. This resolution is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 13 March of 2025.
Okay, we have the ordinance before us. Do I have a motion to adopt? Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Cooey. Who would like to give us a thumbnail sketch of what got us to this point?
Everybody big chair over here. He'll raise his hand.
Yeah, it started like 2 years. We finally started making more progress this year with getting input from STR owners. In fact, I see a couple over there. And Supervisor Frank also has been helpful with collecting information from other people to make sure we're taking into consideration everybody's viewpoint and not turning it into a big extra duplication of rules, just something to help us know what we have in the county and just a few very minimal rules. I hope that's how you guys view it. But we think we found all the typos, so I think it's ready to go.
And so it's an annual licensing process?
Annual licensing.
Annual renewal, and the cost factor is not where we originally started, is it?
We're talking about $25.
Yeah.
And it's good, with this passage, it would start January 1st. And if they go in effect and then January 1st, like it says, they would get a year and a half out of it. So the first $25 would be.
One more thing. Since in the past, this was done as a conditional use permit, we're going to make sure that folks who initially sign on to this with the license, that they get to take credit because of the CUP costs they did in the past.
Which was significantly more than this.
Yeah, it was a lot better. So.
Questions?
So I guess this has been a good long process. I think it's a good document. It's coming together. The next person who comes on in the county that wants to do a short-term rental, do they then apply this or under the conditional use permit?
Well, we're gonna be revising, we're in the process of revising the zoning ordinance. And that's it'll say that if they have this permit, they will not need to do conditional use.
But this starts January 1st. What's that interim between now and then?
That's what we'll have to figure out.
That'll be the ordinance.
Yeah, because this won't go into effect until January 1st. So hopefully before January 1st, we'll have this conditional use permit, and that's why Steve was saying that have to look at those.
Right,
issues.
it's that gray area in between, we have to make sure that we're covering, so we don't have the repetitive problem that we've had.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll follow through on that.
Other questions? If there are none, then all in favor of adopting this ordinance, please say aye.
Aye.
What opposed? This is adopted. Item 21, a resolution requesting no federal or state cuts to Medicaid.
This would be resolution number 25-22. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors. Oh, sorry, pardon me, that the Richland County Board of Supervisors do hereby request no federal or state cuts to Medicaid. Be it further resolved that this resolution should be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on 6th March of 2025.
All right, so you have the resolution before you. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. McKee. Second by Mr. Engel. And discussion.
The resolution goes to legislators?
I was just asking Mr. Kalish about that. Typically, we have language in there that specifies we'll send it to legislators whose district includes part of Richland County. I think that's an assumption that we should follow through on, even though it's not explicitly stated here. So, Mr. Carroll has a question first.
It was the same thing, but are we gonna say state and federal?
Yeah, state and federal legislators. So, Ms. Clements, go ahead.
So there's proposals on the federal level to make some pretty significant cuts to Medicaid. There's discussions up to $880 billion. Many of our people that come through HHS do receive Medicaid. And it is very important to them. 28% of the people in Richland County receive some form of Medicaid. We have 69 businesses that are funded by Medicaid. The majority of our individuals who receive mental health care through our community are on Medicaid. The worry is if Medicaid is cut significantly, it is going to have a ripple down effect, and that people are going to be able to get their needs met, either their health needs, their mental health needs, and it will lead to increased costs to the county. So I'm asking that you support this resolution, asking for no cuts.
And in fairness, this wouldn't just impact HHS.
Correct.
It impacts
Absolutely.
Pine Valley, could have impacts on our EMS service. So
Touch a lot of.
Mr. Gill.
Are we doing this in concert with other counties or other organizations?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is something, this resolution goes across the state, and it was provided by the state. They just, or by groups across the state. They just asked us to fill in the number of businesses that would be impacted and the percentage of people to receive. But yes, this is across the state.
Other questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution's adopted. Item 22, resolution accepting donations to the Simons Recreation Complex.
This would be resolution number 25-23. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the following donations from the Simons Recreation Complex Foundation to the Simons Recreational Complex are hereby accepted. There's several listed below with a total donation amount of $21,545. And be it further resolved that this resolution should be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 13 March of 2025. Also was approved at the Simons Natatorium Board on February 10, 2025.
Good. That's the resolution. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Cooey, second by Mr. Frank. And discussion. Continuing support from the foundation for the facility. And Mike, you could talk a little bit about what they're donating here.
Yeah. So this is, again, about half, a little less than half of their 50,000 that they committed for this year. Again, they did 50,000 last year. And they're committed to replacing or upgrading the equipment at Simons, which is helping us drive membership or raise membership. So this particular donations are replacements. So 2 replacements of older treadmills, 2 replacements of older recumbent steppers. One of these is going to be similar to, if you remember last summer, we purchased a wheelchair, inclusive wheelchair machine. That was our first one. This is also one that we can remove the seat. Wheelchairs can go in and use them. So it'll be our second inclusive piece of equipment. And then some replacement hand weights, dumbbells. So this again is about a little less than half of their 50,000 committed. So we'll be going after them for the other half in the next couple of months or so.
You mentioned the importance of renewing some of that equipment. Can you share what you've shared with executive about what's the membership been doing lately?
Yeah, so membership, actually in the last 7 months now, I guess, we're up 600 members, 600 new members in the last 7 months now. So we're back to pre-COVID numbers. So the last time numbers have been this high, it's been 2018, 2019. 2018, I guess, was the last time they were this high, which was the last time that Simons was looking at an addition and working with the UW at that time on connecting with the gymnasium. So in that time, there was obviously a need for more space. So we're starting to see that now. So that's why you're hearing a lot more conversations about more space. But we are back to pre-COVID numbers. We're back up to about 2,400 members. Yeah, things are looking really good. And a lot of that is because of these replacement, this new equipment, some new paint, new sign refurbished that the foundation also paid for. So people are seeing investments into Simons. So they're starting to feel more confident that, Simons is going to be around for a while. So those members are coming back and they're committing to longer term memberships. In fact, our 12-month memberships have risen faster than any other membership that we have. So that kind of shows that people know that we're going to be around for a while. So they're not signing up for 1 month and saying, well, we'll see how things go. They're signing up for 12 months and saying, we think we're going to be around for 12 months. So it's all been really positive.
Anybody have questions?
Just a comment, basically, I am a member there and spent a lot of time there, and the locker rooms during popular times are just packed. I mean, it's a success story, but I'm hoping that we support it and we can, do more room or find ways to make it accessible for more people.
Other questions? All right, so all in favor of the resolution accepting the gifts, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Thank you. Item 23, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance creating a new code of ethics and repealing ordinance number 23-6.
This would be ordinance 25-6. It is very long. So I presume you also do not wish me to read that. This ordinance is being offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 13 March of 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for discussion here? Motion by Cooley, second by Frank. This is something that's been worked on for a while at Executive and Finance. We went through a couple different rounds of giving input, and I would ask Attorney Wendell to give us a summary of where we landed.
So the ordinance before you is a little bit more robust than the one we have on the books. It spells out a lot of the conduct that could potentially be subject to sanctions under this policy. The main change is, you may recall that this kind of came about because when we had changed our rules of the board and updated our committee structure, we hadn't designated an ethics board. And so I kind of said the Executive and Finance is the spiritual successor from Rules and Strategic Planning. Why not them? Vigorous debate ensued, and it was determined that due to the position of the ethics board as the oversight body of this body, there should be citizen participation. So the major change is that the ethics board will be a new body that consists of 5 members and 1 alternate, at least one of whom shall be an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Wisconsin or shall have demonstrated experience or training in the requirements of due process as applied in judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings. So basically someone who knows what they're doing if a hearing actually comes about. They need to live in Richland County, and they can't be current employees, officials, or receive the majority of their income from the county during their time of appointment. Otherwise, it pretty much functions the same. People would need to submit a written complaint if they feel that there's been a violation of the ethics ordinance. And then that would be investigated and potentially lead to a hearing. And that could potentially lead to sanctions. This conduct is separate from the conduct listed out in the rules of the board. So this is the real naughty stuff. This is abuse of your positions of power for personal gain. And, as, potentially borders on criminal conduct. But the other point I should make is that this ethics ordinance would apply exclusively to public officials. So all of you, any appointee to any board, committee, commission, but not the employees. Per the committee's direction, employees, I'll be developing a separate policy, ethics policy for the employees. And then that way the committee can maintain oversight of the actual employees of the county.
And this ethics board will not have any county board members on it. It will be citizens. That was the direction the committee decided on.
One thing that was discussed was the annual meeting. I reviewed our committee structure document. None of the other committees mandate a specific meeting schedule. And so I left that out. What I think we'll strongly suggest to them and certainly there'll be certain obligations that they'll hopefully want to fulfill because by serving on the ethics board, they actually become subject to this ethics ordinance. So it's a good idea for them to have some idea how that works.
Questions? We'll say in recent history, we haven't had an issue that's risen to an ethics concern for any public official in our county that we've had to have an ethics committee address, but we didn't have a process, then something would probably happen and we need it. So having it in place will be a good thing. Obviously, it will take some time to advertise and recruit for the members of the committee and get them established and set up. It does specify that the county administrator provides administrative support for the committee and the county attorney provides some support in that, right, but is not involved in what they're doing, correct? You're not acting on their behalf or?
Well, I think it would depend.
Okay.
Theoretically, so for example, if I were accused of a complaint, obviously you'd have to seek outside counsel. Theoretically, I would be the prosecutor equivalent, but we may also need to contract with outside counsel. So the lawyer answer, it depends.
Okay. So anybody with questions?
But just to clarify that point, one representative of the ethics board is someone other than the county council.
Right.
To make that clear. So it would not be, in this case, Michael serving on the board. Michael may serve in a capacity of,
advising and guiding.
Advising, right?
I'm pretty sure if I did the math, I'd fall under the majority income exemption anyway, so.
And you said that this committee, you don't have it in here, but they would meet maybe once a year?
So what was discussed was at least one annual meeting so that I could give them an orientation, bring them up to speed on open meetings law, public records law, the ethics ordinance itself, basic procedure, basically make it so that whoever the attorney or quasi judicial trained officer is doesn't have to spend their time also teaching how their board, how they should operate. But then it would meet as needed. So if a complaint were filed, we would convene them. And then because their terms are a couple of years, having that annual meeting, we can just make sure, check in and say, hey, are you still interested in serving?
Placed every 2 years or
3 years.
3 years there.
they're all replaced in 3 years.
Well, not necessarily replaced, but reappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
Or reappointed.
Yeah. Any other questions? All in favor of adopting this ordinance, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. That brings us down to item 24, resolution approving oversight of county tennis courts, soccer field, and walking trails.
This would be resolution number 25-24. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that oversight and associated responsibility of the county's tennis courts, soccer field, and walking trails are assigned to the Director of the Simons Recreation Complex, be it further resolved, pardon me, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. This resolution is offered to you by the Campus Reconfiguration Committee, which met on 18 March of 2025. And if you will notice on the resolution, it was not indicated who voted for it. I have in my notes, I believe it was unanimous.
You're right.
All
members present voted in favor.
Yes. Just need to double check my action here. Oh. But I believe,
Two names after that list are Larry Engel and Gary Manning were also there. We all voted in favor of it.
okay. Wait,
Well, Larry's not on the committee.
yeah. Larry's-
Oh, all right. Didn't think-
He was there, but not on the committee, so. Yes.
So does this include the bike trail?
No. That's not part of, what we're talking about, there are walking trails up on the property behind Simon's up in the hills back of the campus there. As well as the tennis and basketball courts that are adjacent to the parking area from Simon's and the soccer field that's down at the bottom that Simon's typically uses to dump water on when they drain the pool. But it has been used by the school district in the past. So what we want to do, and it's in the body of the resolution here, is make it clear that, okay, this grouping of stuff is all Simon's. And so it'll be under the Simon's control. And then whatever else happens out on the campus property, all these things are still part of Simon's. Does that make sense? We had a little more discussion about it at the Campus Reconfiguration Committee to try to clarify what our intent was.
I'm in full support of this, but I also, in the future, would welcome a resolution that had that oversight of the gym museum as well. That's in the future.
Understand. Questions about this resolution? All right, if there are no questions, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I completely missed who the first and second on that one.
Did we have a?
I don't know that we did.
Oh, did I miss?
Wait.
I thought we.
Do it again.
I was struggling with my papers, I'm sorry.
Cooey and Frank.
Either way.
First and second on everything.
Okay.
Thank you. Voted in said items. Okay, sorry about that. All right, that brings us to item 25, which is correspondence. None to report tonight. Future agenda items for the county board. Yes, Mr. Whitman.
So this has never come up before, so I'll be preparing an explanation. We have received a written request for an appeal for a delinquent tax payment through the treasurer's office. This is something that statutorily the county board is able to adjudicate on its own, or it can delegate it to a subunit or committee. And so I imagine a two-part discussion. First, who do you want adjudicating these if and when they come up? Again, this is the first time it's ever happened. And then what does that actually mean? Basically, you just need to determine whether or not there was an error in the postal service. But it's helpful to have a policy for this. And again, it's never come up before, so we don't have one in writing.
Okay, so at our April meeting, we'll be prepared to discuss that. Very good. Other future agenda items for the board?
Sure. So the information you and I and Derek heard in the lawsuit, is that something that statewide lawsuit that we want to inform the full?
About the tax, no.
Yeah.
All the public records request?
Not to scare anybody, but which statewide lawsuit? Are you talking the public records request?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not really an agenda. That would be more of a report.
Yeah.
We have an open records request. We're complying with it.
So, state government. Yeah. All right, any other future agenda items? If not, then I need someone to take Gary Manning's spot and make a motion. By Supervisor Fleming, Second by Supervisor Kramer, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.